Hey guys, what's up? It's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the re-release of the Medicom Toy MAFEX or MAFEX, whatever I call it. Marvel's Daredevil comic version action figure. Figure number 223 in the MAFEX line. Very excited to finally own the MAFEX Daredevil here. I had to skip out on the original pre-order, but it came out sometime last year. And this one here came out in March of 2025. So the initial version and this re-release, it really wasn't that much of a gap between the two, where usually sometimes these re-releases take years for some of these figures. But because Daredevil Born Again is still going right now, it's almost done. It has a few episodes left. But they re-released this for pre-order around when the first couple episodes came out. I think that they really wanted to jump on the Daredevil hype and release this again. And I think it worked because this sold out again when this went up for pre-order a couple weeks ago and sold out. Got mine here from Big Bad Toy Store. It sold out there. $100, but you know what? It was worth it. Figure in the box. Really cool artwork on the left there. It says Marvel 6-inch and 223. Figure in the box with the contents. And it's a little hard to read, but there is some comic panels in the back there for the inner lining of the packaging. You can see some of the contents of the figure with some of the hands and the billy clubs and stuff. Figure right there on the left. Daredevil, comic version action figure, Marvel, MAFEX, and Medicom Toy logos. Now on this side, it's just going to say Daredevil and then an image of the figure right there, as well as the little barcode logo, whatever it is. Also a sticker for Medicom Toys. Now on this side here, you're gonna go a long ways. So up here, it's a face image of Daredevil with some shading there. You also have the figure right there. And then you do have where it says Daredevil comic version MAFEX number 223 and the Daredevil 2Ds logo. And then on top here, again, same face, same logo, same way they have sprawled out Daredevil here with really nice contrasts of red and brown with this like pop whatever type of style for old comics. Bottom here, just a bunch of legal stuff. I don't think a lot of it is translated that much. Well, a decent amount of it is, but some support stuff right there. You just 15 it up. Back of the packaging here has a lot of stuff going on with the different posing you can do and some of the different accessories. MAFEX 223 once again and all that other stuff. So let's go ahead, get this figure finally out of the packaging. It has been quite some time since I did that earlier section. I have some thoughts on the show. It's not particularly amazing, I don't think. It was a pretty messy first season, but season 2 hopefully will be better. This figure overall is peak, though. Everyone has been saying it's good, and I agree. Absolutely awesome figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. Quick look at all of the accessories. We have 5 different pairs of hands, not including the ones that the figure comes packaged with. We have 2 extra head sculpts and a bunch of different stuff going on with the billy clubs there. We do have 3 different versions also of it stored where you can put it on its hip. I don't remember if one of these came packaged on the figure. It's been a while since they've opened it, so I'm just going to take a look at everything pretty much right here. Starting off with these pair of hands. These are flat hands, and I actually quite like, I've mentioned this before, I like that we have these clear plastic pieces that poured into the peg holes for alternate hands, not only to prevent these holes from potentially shrinking, but it gives me an easy way of showing you how both hands look. Looks quite good. It looks like an actual glove. There's a little bit of black shading in the palms there, wrinkles towards the actual center of the palm, nice ridges on the inside of the fingers, and on this side here you have a little bit of a better idea of what the knuckles look like with a little bit of dark shading going on there, but really good detail overall on those hands. Then we have these more relaxed hands. These are also quite nice. There's not much else they can really do with these hands. It's just red glove hands, so they got them down pretty well. It's still pretty nicely detailed. There's even a seam line in here, and I assume that's going to be for as many pairs of hands where you can see that seam line. Not as much shading on the palms here, but actually not too bad at all. There's definitely shading there. Kind of a similar approach probably for all these hands, where you're going to have shading, a little bit darker shading on the back of the hands and the inside of the hands, mostly around the knuckle sections. But these look really good. Then we get to these more clenched fighting hands. I know this came, actually which one came before or after, I don't remember, but This is a little reminiscent of the Red Hood figure, or Red Hood, I wish. I really need a Nightwing figure. A lot of these hands are very similar, not in terms of sculpt, but like an approach, exactly. Like, I think we had hands like this with Nightwing, but very nice looking too on the inside of palms here. A little bit more creasing going on there. The way that they have the fingers clenched there look quite excellent. Then we have these more sprawled out action hands as if you are throwing accessories. Those flat hands are also meant for throwing or maybe other gymnastics. These can be too. These are basically multi-purpose hands if you ask me. And a lot of these can be. But these look really good with that, I've said it earlier, wrinkles and shading in the hand there. I'm blinking a little bit. Looks really nice at the back too. Last but certainly not least, very similar to the fists, we do have these hands here meant for holding the billy clubs, and they are in a perfect circle right there. So you do kind of get a little bit of a seam line. Actually, I don't know if I see one. A little bit going on in there. Not as much shading on the palms because the fingers are clenched, but you get some of that on the back of the hands. Now for the alternate heads. I really wish we had an unmasked head. That would have been really nice, not only for putting it on this figure, maybe you could also, rig it to be on a Marvel Legends figure or even a suit body. That has happened a couple times in the MAFEX line. But this has some nice clenched teeth, nice lip color too around there. Nothing is very dirty at all. I am looking. I have pretty bad luck. I've come to terms with bad luck with QC and paint when it comes to these MAFEX releases. And there's also a bird out my window. If that's too loud, I apologize. We do have actually a nice red going on right there. It's a little bit brighter in the eyes compared to the rest of the cowl, I guess, because there's a little bit of shading around the eyes, and then you have the nice pointy horns. Be careful with these, because, I mean, they're a little uncomfortable, but there's a chance you could also straight up snap them. Like, I'm sure there's a way, so just be careful. But then we do have protruding ears, which actually have really nice detailing going on in there. So that is quite nice. Nice detailing on the nostrils. That's what that little connection up there looks like. A little bit of wrinkle of the back of the head as well, so that's cool. Then we have a screaming face, which has a very similar approach to the one I just showed off. Going over again, nice wrinkles there. The rest of it is done and just like a smoother sculpt, which is fine. Then we have wrinkles around the eyes. Didn't really mention that. Wrinkles pretty much everywhere in the eyes too. But then you have it's like almost like a pinkish black for the void in the mouth basically, but then we have pink on the tongue, and then the teeth are really nicely painted. If you get up in there, I think I see something that's a little weird, but face forward, really not bad, and then down here on those bottom teeth, doesn't look bad at all. Okay, so they've done this 3 different ways. The billy club holster has just a red piece of plastic here that doesn't have the billy clubs out, but we do have a little bit of space right there. That's pretty nice to see. If you're using both billy clubs at the same time. And the way that these actually are done, I was about to show off all 3 at once, but I'd rather just do this. There is a large peg hole right here, and this ball joint ports in right there, and it can articulate a little bit going on there. I'm sure this connection is not the strongest. There's probably a way you could snap that. So again, I would just be careful. These are nice figures, but they are quite delicate sometimes. Then you have one of the billy club holster sections that has one of them removed, and this one here has the one with the little tassel, I guess. I actually don't know what that would be called, removed right there. Last but certainly not least is the one where you have both of them ported in there, and I think this was the one this came packaged with, but I could be wrong. I really don't remember, and I wish I did right now, so I apologize for that. But all of them are done in a pretty similar fashion, where you have just mostly a red sculpted piece here. It's really good sculpting for what it needs to be, and then these parts are also nice, and this also could break, so be careful with that. The actual billy clubs here are just white pieces of plastic, which is fine. Then you have this one here, which has a little bit of a hole opening in this tassel. But yeah, they're just, man, they are bright, aren't they? White pieces of plastic that probably could get scuffed or dirty, especially, I'm going to test this. That actually is a pretty nice fit, and it's not too secure to where it can't pop out. I still would not Personally, you know, if you want to do toy photography or like a stop motion, you know, put these in there for as long as you need to. Take these out right after, because I could definitely see the red. I already see red scuffing on there. So yeah, just be careful. Then we have a bendy wire billy club, which is really nice to see. There's an actual billy. It almost looks like a slinky here. So this whole thing goes undone. You're seeing it live on camera, it going undone. And I am being very careful because I still have nightmares from my Nightwing that these sections right here, they will pop out really easily, at least with the Nightwing, if I'm not careful. So I'm going to get this whole thing straight. And then that one side here is the normal type of billy club. And I actually don't see where the tassel would be. So these are two normal billy clubs with a very thin white bendy wire going on here. I can try to back out, but you're not going to really get the whole view of how long this thing is. And it's a little bit hard for me to get completely straightened out. But yeah, you're not going to get that wound up again like I just had showed off earlier. So unfortunate, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of that exact accessory. Last but not least, we have one of these billy clubs that definitely has a long amount of bendy wire here. Let's stretch this out again. Definitely not as long as the one I just showed off, but this end here has a hook. So that's really nice to see. And then, yeah, so that's how that ends up looking. Definitely, I want to say, it's probably like 2/3 the size of the long one. So I can't properly show these off, unfortunately, just because there's not a lot of space going on here, but just getting you an idea that these are quite long, and these, you know, we still have a lot of nice accessories. I really don't know what much else they can do besides maybe an alternate head, but for how much it's supposed to be, like $100, it's still a lot, but still a lot of stuff coming with this figure. So on the surface, this kind of looks plain because you just have one dude in a skin red suit, but there's a lot actually going on in certain detailing. Just like those other heads, we do have some pretty good subtle shading around the eyes where it's a little bit darker, but then we have those slightly brighter white lenses, or basically the eyes going on there in the cowl or the mask, whatever you call it again. And then we do have those ears protruding, the horns protruding very nicely again, wrinkles at the back of the head, lots of shading all throughout this figure. We'll talk about that in a second, but pretty nice lip tone coming out through the lip right there. It's just mostly just a black line basically, but still doesn't look bad at all. And lots of nice scrunching in different areas around, like in between the eyes, again on like around the eyes there too. Now we move down to the neck. Definitely some muscles going on in this neck section right here. I think looks really good. A lot of people think that this, you know, this got announced. A lot of people thought that the proportions were really weird, and I personally don't see it in any way. Maybe the head's a little elongated, but I don't really see any problem. Just me personally. I mean, to each their own, but I have this in hand, and I mean, the images looked fine to me, and I have it in hand, and it looks fine too. Really liking those double Ds, sculpted on here, and they're actually really nicely intertwined too. It's a little bit of a brighter red going on there. A little bit of shading around the neck and the muscles too, like those pecs going towards the ribs and the abs. Lots of darker red shading, a little bit of black in there too around some of the slightly brighter red. Now, I have had this for a bit, but there were some sections, like there's some glossiness right here and then right up there. That is how the figure came, unfortunately. There is a scuff right here that is ever so slightly because I moved the articulation. Yeah, the articulation will scuff things, so just be wary of that. I'm just going to have to accept that whenever I get a MAFEX figure, I have a little bit of QC, even though I really don't want there to be any of that, because everyone I've had so far has had that, but I digress. It still doesn't take away from the fact that there's lots of great muscles all throughout this. Now, I think both in person and through my camera's viewfinder, we have darker shading all the way around here, but then we have a little bit of lighter red breaking it up just a tad. But it's really not that distracting, at least I don't think. Pretty nice muscles all the way on the arms too. Again, some darker shading going on there. Inner part of the arms too. And then we do also have a little bit of this cut right here. But that's for sculpt. There's no actual like separate plastic, but you can see how the slightly brighter red glove comes through there. The elbows actually don't break things up too much, I don't think. Pretty nice muscles all the way around these arms. These hands pop off a little too easily, but I'd rather they pop off a little easier than be really tight and then break somehow, you know? I'll get to that in a second, actually, because I haven't talked about the rest. The lower back here is pretty nice, but we do have the Marvel seal right there. It can be a little distracting. You could maybe take that off carefully with some acetone, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, so, I mean, it's just a dude in a skin-tight suit, so there's not extra detailing. I mean, besides, you know, these engraved Ds right here, parts of the head sculpt, and then these right here. Then we get down to the lower section, though, with the belt. It's a little bit of a brighter red with a little bit of black right in the center right there for that buckle. All the way around here, pretty nice. Just going to call it like it is. Butt stretches right there. With some nice stretching for the fabric all the way around towards the hips too. Then this section that goes all the way down is it's like, I don't know what type of material this would be, but it's definitely a little bit a brighter red going on there. Then we do have a section here. It is distracting right now, but that is for inserting one of these here. And then we pop this in and it covers that pretty nicely. I mean, there is a little bit of, you know, stick syndrome going on there where it definitely looks like a stick going into his hip, but really not that bad. Like right here, you're not going to notice that ball joint, and it's really not even a big deal that you do notice it, at least I don't think. Upper thigh sections right here, before it's covering that articulated piece in there, we have wrinkles all the way around. Again, muscles are really good on this figure. Like the upper thigh sections, lots of stuff going on there with the muscles, and we have some shading in the different defined areas in the muscles too. You have some, you know, again, some shading, the back muscle section, and a little bit of stretching. So they really paid attention to detail of where stretching should be in his fabric suit. Again, it's mostly muscles and stretching, but I don't think that it's entirely a bad thing. You know, that's just how the outfit is done. Excuse me. Now, if it was like the Netflix or I guess now Disney Plus version, that'd have a lot more detailing going on there. One can only hope one day. Then we get down to the knee sections. I do feel like the legs might, I think down here, these look a little skinny for calf muscles, but not too bad. Maybe the knees are a little skinny too. But, I mean, I don't really know that for sure, so that's fine. They do look slightly darker compared to what's going on here, but that's only, I think, through my camera's viewfinder. I think it looks pretty natural in person. Again, more shading going on right here, just a little bit, and around the ankles too. Interesting that a lot of areas that, you know, articulation connects does have shading as well. Then we get down to the bottom of the feet here, and we do have wrinkles on the outside here, outside right there, or the inside actually. And these do break up because, you know, it looks a little choppy because of the articulation, but really not bad at all. So I kind of went through that rather quickly because once again, sound like a broken record. It's a dude in a skin tight suit, but the way that they made sure to give us, you know, a little bit of extra stuff going on here in terms of detailing is certain sections have really good detailing of how they're done. And then we do have a lot of shading throughout this figure. Certain import companies really don't do that much shading, looking at USH Figure Arts, but something like this, really good shading. And even if I did have a little bit of scuffs, I really can't see it at all actually, like this far away. So maybe it's a little bit glossy because the light hits it, but yeah, very minor problems I have with the overall body here. Proportions I don't think are bad at all either. I don't exactly remember the last time I articulated this, so we need to see how the range of motion is, but we do have a dumbbell joint going on here, so all sets of heads, and then we have neck articulation too, so that goes up like this. Down is could be better, not bad though, side to side in this ball joint there, and then swiveling here. If you grab the neck, you can maybe swivel it too, so lots of range of motion there. Forward and back actually with these disc sections for the butterfly joint, I guess it would be, there's this really interesting cut there for that. Interesting. It's a ball joint going on in there with like actually almost like a dumbbell joint, but there's definitely a hinge in there too. So the arm goes pretty much all the way up here. And then you can shimmy up and down a little bit, forward, back, and then all this rotation there. Upper arm swivel there. Double jointed elbows. Really good. We have the import style wrist that can go up and down and in and out and swivel here. Swivel at this section, and that's for all sets of hands. Gonna have to be careful again. I can maybe raise this. No, I can't raise that at all. That's the top crunch going forward with this ball joint here, which does have some gappage. That's as far forward it wants to go. And then that's as far back as it wants to go. But again, there's going to be gappage because of that. And then again, potential scuffing at this upper section. Legs can drop out a bit, and this is a little bit of a softer diaper piece, I guess. Not really a diaper piece. But legs can kick up pretty far, actually. And then, I mean, even if it is a softer plastic here, it kind of doesn't really want to go all the way out. But because of that, this kind of gets in the way of this. But you can almost get a perfect split out of this guy. Again, ball joint here, but it really wants to shimmy a little bit like this and then swivel like that. Upper thigh swivel built in here. It could be better because this is just all one piece that's really blocking that. Double jointed knee right there. Swivel at this ankle. Down is not bad. Up, not bad too. Ankle rocker, toe hinge. Really good one, actually. Measuring out this figure, we're getting pretty close to 16.5 centimeters, so that's going to put this just under 6.5 inches tall. I don't have a lot of MAFEX figures on hand right now because I'm cleaning out the place and things are pretty hectic, but I do have the Pattinson Batman and the Hush Poison Ivy, and then we do have, you know, standard size Marvel Legends Spider-Man, standard size Black Series Mando. So Batman's going to be a little bit taller, but the shortest out of all of these, of course, is going to be Poison Ivy. And then they're getting pretty close with the Daredevil, but the Marvel Legends Spider-Man's pretty close. Black Series Mando's shorter. Overall, I am quite happy with this figure. I only have a couple minor issues. One, and you really can't see it that much, so I'm just going to mention it and just get it over with. A couple specs here and there that are a little bit of imperfections, but they're really not that visible on camera, so they don't bother me that much, but that's just something I have to come to terms with, is that I'm going to have a little bit of minor issues with a lot of these figures that I'm going to get, because that's just how my experience is so far. But another thing is, I still think this is a little too expensive. I mean, now the aftermarket price is insane, but initially, it's still like a $90 to $100 figure for what you get. It's quite nice, but maybe a couple of other things. Maybe an unmasked head, like I said earlier. I know he's not known for doing this, but you had the blueprint for a, baton swirling hand with the Nightwing figure. That could have been used for this, but again, he's not really known for doing that, so I kind of get it. A lot of people are probably going to say that it's not too detailed for the price here, but it is very comic accurate. It's mostly just what appears to be a dude in a skin-tight suit. And there's some accents of detailing in terms of like the chest logo, like the gloves and the boots, and a few other places here. It has really good shading, really great musculature all throughout, and nice stretching in the fabric where it needs to be. Lots of great, accessories here. Lots of different hands. The way they do the different Billy Club stuff going on here is quite good, and the ones with the bendy wires are good. A bunch of, I would say a bunch, but 3 different alternate heads is still quite good. Again, one more would have been just a little bit of a sweet spot there. But, articulation still also is really great here too. So I'm really digging this one here. I'm a big Daredevil fan, so I'm a little bit biased, but at the same time, I think objectively this is a really awesome figure. If you do have a way of getting this and not breaking the bank too much, I do recommend it. It is quite nice. Quick update before I end this video here, which some of you may have already skipped, that's fine. I'm having a little bit of a hiatus because I just got a new camera here. This is the Canon EOS R5, and this is actually a 4K camera. I have to see if there is a way to do 1080p for now, because I don't know if I'm ready to do 4K, and if there's not a way, then 4K videos are coming soon here. But I needed a new camera. My old camera is almost a decade old, and it's starting to have some wear and tear on it. It has served me well. It was basically a T5i, like it's a SL3, I think, or SL1 actually. Quite a good camera, but this new Canon here, I am very happy to finally have here. And the old gear and compatibility of the lenses is here with this new one. So not going to be too much of a change, just mostly a little bit better picture quality coming up in photos and videos. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about this video here, what you think about the actual figure. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there. I'll see you guys in July after this hiatus is over and I've learned how to use this camera. I'll see you guys later.